Saxon Algebra 1/2, Lesson 5. Students, welcome. A quick forward. If I talked to you last week on FaceTime or video chatting, then go to sleep. You did exactly what I needed you to do. No worries. The other students that I did not get a chance to talk to, some of you checked in with me and I didn't have time to fit all the calls in. I'm going to be extending my hours so that I am available from noon till 2 on Thursday. And then again noon till 2 on Friday. That's this upcoming Thursday and Friday. I've talked to some of your moms already and worked it out. If I didn't talk to you this past week, make sure, well, I want to talk to all of you, but especially if I didn't talk to you last week, please make sure to connect with me in those 2 time frames. If it still doesn't work for you, let me know. All right, we'll get this figured out. Okay, lesson 5, addition and subtraction word problems, which I abbreviate like so. Plus minus word problems. Oops, the S is hiding in the hole. Here comes the first one. And I'll just say as a preview, sometimes the problem will look like an addition problem, but we'll need to use subtraction to solve it. Sometimes we might have to do the opposite. We might see it set up as a subtraction problem and then have to find addition to solve it. So we're going to use these 2 inverse operations to detective around and figure out whatever it is we need to do to answer the question. The Duke counted 5,260 people. Then the Duchess counted 4,720 people. Okay, so this is what the Duke counted, and this is what the Duchess counted. My first observation is that one or the other of them really needs to work on their counting skills, because these are not very close, are they? The question is, how much greater was the Duke's count? Okay, so when we look at this, we see, okay, he counted more, she counted less. They want to know how many more he had in his count. The way that we can find that is to subtract them, right? This one's greater. We want to find the difference between their 2 counts. This is the larger number, so we have that on top. It just worked out that way, the way John gave us the problem. If the Duchess had counted more, I'd put her on top. But now we just subtract. 0 from 0 is 0. 6 minus 2 is 4. 2 minus 7, nope. We're going to have to borrow. 12 minus 7 is 5. So it looks like the Duke counted 540 more people, and that is our answer. Okay? Notice the way I formatted this. I wouldn't necessarily need you to put these 2 words down, but you definitely copy down those 2 words, subtract, draw the line, show any borrowing or carrying that you have to do, write the answer, and then put a word next to it. Whenever there's a word problem, make sure your answer has a word that helps explain what you did. Example 5.2. 417 birds. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with this problem, but I'm just going to write down that number before I forget it. 417 birds were in the trees at 8 o'clock. Okay, so I'm going to write 8 o'clock. And o'clock is a fun word to write because it has an apostrophe, so there's that. By 9 o'clock, the number had increased to 942. This is at 9 o'clock. Again, I'm just writing this down in the order John gave it to me. How many birds arrived between 8 and 9 o'clock? Okay, so we stop and think for a second. What is going on in this story? Okay, there were birds in a tree. Later, there are this many birds in a tree. We see that there are more. We're trying to find out how many more. So again, it's a subtraction problem where we're going to need to find the difference between these numbers. But this time the bigger number is on the bottom, and we know that is not how subtraction works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave that number there. I'm gonna recopy the 417, and then I'm just gonna gently squiggle it out there so that I don't get confused about what I'm doing. I'm not gonna rewrite everything because life is too short. So now we just need to do this subtraction, and we'll find out how many birds arrived between those two times. 2 minus 7, it's not gonna work. So I borrow 1, what's essentially a 10. I put it over here to make this 2, 12. My 4 has turned into a 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so what does that number represent? That number represents how many birds arrived between 8 and 9 o'clock. So my answer is going to be 525 birds. I don't have to write out the whole big sentence. That would be crazy. But I do want to put at least one word by my answer for every word problem. Okay? Flipping. Okay. Example 5.3. If these are easy, good, I'm glad. At sunrise, many ducks were on the pond. Huh. Okay, there were some, I'm just gonna call them D. This is ducks at sunrise. We don't know how many. John is not telling us how many. Oops, I forgot. Sunrise. Now you just can't read it at all. Cool. Then 425 ducks flew away. Okay, so however many there were to start with, some left. They flew away. 425. Okay. How many ducks? Oh, 642 ducks remained in the pond. 642. Now, pretend that I didn't draw that line there, that minus sign. Pretend you just wrote that down. 642 remained. My brain could see right away that this was a subtraction problem, but pretend you couldn't. So you didn't put the minus sign there and you didn't draw that line there. These were the ducks at sunrise. That many flew away. This is how many remained. We can see that once we start talking about ducks flying away, that makes it a subtraction problem, right? Because they're being subtracted out. That's how I knew to do that as soon as I heard that they were flying away. But pretend that you didn't. You'd know, okay, these are the ones that flew away. These are the ones that remained. In order to find the number of ducks at sunrise, which is John's question, how many ducks were on the pond at sunrise, we have to add those two together, right? Even though John tells us a subtraction story, in order to get back to the beginning, we have to add them. So I'm going to draw another line, and I'm going to write plus. 5 plus 2 is 7. 2 plus 4 is 6. 10. This is how many birds were on, or they're ducks, sorry. I'm in the last story. Ducks at sunrise, right? Because it's those two different groups added together. Checking. That's the right answer. Okay? So again, John told us a story about subtraction. In order to get the missing information, we added. And here comes the last one, example 5.4. George had $5.42. All right, I'm going to write that as a dollar amount with decimals. Then his mom gave him some money. Okay, this is what George had. Then his mom gave him some money. So let's just use the letter M to stand for what his mom gave him. And I'm just going to write got more because I don't want to write out his mom gave him more. That's too much. So he had that much. He got more. And now he has $9.65. Okay, so that's what he has now. Now has, whatever. Okay, so how do we figure out how much he got? We can see that this is an addition problem, right? He had some, he got more. That's how much he's got. But in order to find this piece of missing information, addition is not going to help us. And to put fancy words on it, which I'm going to do now because we've been in the swing of this for a few problems, this is an addend, this is an addend, this is the sum. We know that subtraction, we can start with the sum and use either addend to subtract, and that will give us the other one. So in this case, if we subtract how much he started with, then we'll find out how much his mom gave him. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what I did? I subtracted and then I added. That's not right. Let me try it again. 3, 2. Okay, this is much better, isn't it? His mother gave him $4.23. That's how we got from 542 to 965. Make sense? So just because your story is about addition doesn't mean that you're going to use addition to find the answer. You have to logic it out. Okay, practice problems. Let's see, we do the odd lettered practice, if that's a thing. So you'll do this one. Hundreds of knights came to the tournament. Then 420 knights went home. Oh, that sounds like subtraction, doesn't it? 765 knights remained. How many knights came to the tournament? So if we want to know how many were there in the beginning, we're going to have to add together the number that went home plus the number that remained. That will tell us how many were there before. All right? And then on into the problem set. Remember, I don't want you to do practice problems or any problems. I don't want you to do any homework problems unless you have the answers. And in the solutions manual I have, it only has, no, it doesn't have any in the solutions manual. In the back of the book, it has the answers to the odd letters. So that's what we do. All right, yay, a nice short lesson. That is the end of number 5, and I will see you for lesson number 6. Remember to reach out to me this week, Thursday or Friday, between noon and 2. If you didn't connect with me last week, that's okay. You don't have to, we're not gonna do makeups. We'll just catch up when we do talk to each other this week. Okay? Thank you, goodbye.